Good day everyone, this is Larry from Duo3 here to introduce the data validation using lists and how to make your list dynamically update. Data validation is good because it ensures consistency during the data entry process, and this would reduce your filtering and searching efforts because you don't have to filter or search for multiple variances of a particular entry. For example, if your user wants to type in Rachel Tay with the surname in front, the validation will throw back an error telling the user to select from the list provided. For our data validation, we would also like for any new entries to be reflected in our drop-down list. One thing to note about data validation, it can be overwritten if you copy and paste over the cell containing the validation as such. So you have to take note of that. Let's have a look at how we can set this data validation up. First of all, you have to select the cells, the range of cells that you want to apply your data validation to. Under the data ribbon, data tools group, click on data validation. For the settings tab, in the allow field, select list, and in the source, specify the entries in your list and click OK. You realize the drop down button appears beside your active cell, and you can start selecting from the drop down list provided. However, with this setup, any new entries to your source list will not be reflected in your drop down list over here. So how do we make this setup more dynamic? Let's remove our existing data validation, alternate AVV. To activate the validation dialog box, click on the clear all button, OK, and the drop down button disappears. Alright, first of all, we have to tell Excel how many entries there are in our source list. For that, we use the count A formula, equals to count A. Tap to select the formula and open the brackets, and choose from our first entry to the last entry that we are expecting, which is F15, assuming we are expecting a maximum of 10 salespersons. Alright, and close up the bracket and enter. So Excel has counted 6 entries in this range of cells, which you can verify over here in the status bar. If there is a new entry being added in, it updates itself. Alright, so after counting the number of entries in our list, we would need to know what these entries are. So for that, we'll use the offset formula, equals to offset. For reference, it will be our first entry, F4 to lock the cell. For our rows syntax, do we want to go up or down in relation to F6? No, we want to stay in F6 as our first entry, so we will comma to default to 0. For our columns, do we want to go left or right? Comma to default to 0. For our height, which is an optional syntax, is where we want to specify how many cells to return. This is where our count A formula should be placed. So let's put a single quote in front of our offset formula and go back using Shift Enter to our count A formula. Select the count A formula without the equal sign, Ctrl C to copy, escape, back to our offset formula, F2 to get into our formula, Ctrl V to paste our count A. It doesn't show the tooltip now because of the single quote at the front of our equal sign, so remove that. And for our with syntax, we do not have to specify anything, so we can close out the offset formula as such, and Excel throws back an error. Why is this so? It's because offset is an array formula, and to enter array formulas we have to go into the formula itself, While confirming this entry, we have to hit Ctrl+Shift+Enter to include these curly brackets and tell Excel that this is an array result that we want to have. Do not try to add these curly brackets around the formula manually, otherwise it won't work. So this offset formula will be the basis of our source list. Let's copy it, Ctrl+C, and let's define this offset formula as a name so we can paste it into our data validation more easily later. So to define a name, go into your formulas ribbon. Under the define names grouping, click on define name. Give your name a meaningful title, which is salespersons. And for the refers to field, this is where we paste our offset formula. And click OK. And we are going back to set up our data validation. Select the range of cells that we want to apply the validation to. Alternate AVV. To activate the dialog box, under the allow field, select list. And for the source, this is where we want to paste our defined names containing our offset formula. So how do we paste a name? We hit the F3 button to get our paste name dialog box. Double click on the salespersons and click OK. Back comes our drop down list button, and we can start selecting from our list. So if there is a new entry of, say, David to our source list, our drop down list also allows for David to be selected. One thing to note, try not to have any blanks in your source list like so, otherwise Excel will be counting 7 entries and it will return 7 rows starting from F6, which will exclude your David or your last entry as such. Alright, hope this will aid in your data entry, and hope to see you guys next time.